Welcome back to Bob Holmes Woodworking. I figured I'd just do a quick tour of my shop at the end of 2023. Kind of just want to do it for myself so I can do another one in 2024 and maybe every year, just to keep track of my progress and see where I'm at. Starting off in this corner, we've got some sharpening stones. Look at the old school packaging from Norton Abrasives on this oil stone here. Then we've got a birdhouse that never turned into a birdhouse because I put a door on it and kept it inside. Then we have this pegboard randomly filled up with pretty much anything I could hang on it. Tin snips, pliers. Coming down here you can see my collection of miter gauges for different table saws I have. Here's the shelves I made to hold the hand planes, some of which I restored myself, some of which came to me in really good condition. There's some really sweet brass spoke shaves over here. These Joe blocks to the left are unrelated to planes. I'm not sure why they're there. Stanley number 71 router plane right here. Now I'll take a stroll down this wall of the workshop. I made this narrow vertical section of shelving to hold basically any power tools that fit in there. Routers, sanders, belt sanders, circular saws. And then everything else I just toss up here in a big knotted mess of wires. Hacksaws underneath there, coping saws. Coming down here, there's an old grinder. This is an old watch lathe from my grandfather, which is awesome. I used to spin wood on it, so I got a real wood lathe. Another bench grinder. This is a Harbor Freight wood lathe, which is good enough. Got me through these Christmas ornaments that I turned for the Christmas season. This is a buffing and wire wheel from my grandfather. The name on that was Wizard. That's the spindle part, but you just hook this up to any electrical motor. Look, he's got it rigged up to just a light switch from a wall. Moving fast here, jars of screws, old planes that need to be restored, old tools that have been ultrasonically cleaned and restored. Nice and shiny. This is part of the jigs I made for doing Japanese kumiko. This plane slides back and forth and basically gets you a real thin strip of wood that you can then use to cut different angles on with these jigs and arrange into cool patterns. Look up Japanese kumiko if you want to find out more. Drill vices. Everybody needs two of those. This old school drill is awesome. Those green belts you're seeing are link belts, and they really help with vibration on old tools. They sell them at Harbor Freight, and you can adjust them to any size. They're great. This thing is heavy, very heavy. Me and my buddy carried it from a church sale, I think. More drills, old school drill organizers, more old school drill organizers. Wrenches hanging from a wall, of course one's missing. I didn't mean to start collecting utility knives, but I guess I have a collection of utility knives. Bunch of stains, finishes, pipe, dope, collection of tape measures. Moving over here to the hammer rack. 3 sections of different hammers and mallets. Stereo behind there. Thinking we're gonna move the camera down here and give you another rolling view of hammers because everybody needs to see this. It's important. Christmas while I'm filming. You can tell by the Christmas tree and sleigh. Alright, on to a different wall. This is the third wall if anybody's keeping track here. We're going to take another stroll just like before down the wall and check out stuff individually. Building these shelves and double stacking these totes is a good way to organize stuff. Those things are cheap. I think they're like $2 a piece. These belt sanders, these old school belt sanders are beautiful looking. I'm going to do a separate video on these as soon as I get a chance. Collection of vices I plan to restore. I talked that guy down to $10 on that $20 vice you see there. Here's my screwdriver rack. There's no organization, so it takes forever to find a screwdriver you're looking for. I need to do something about that, because this looks cool, but it's a mess. Files, and then all these hand drills up here. The one with the spiral wheel is awesome. Hand drills on hand drills on hand drills. I think this is some old saw blades, some bolt cutters, really old bolt cutters, old oil can. The tour of this wall stops here, but as you can see, the expansion continues. Bandsaw is over here. This Rikon is one of my favorite tools in the shop. 14-inch Rikon. I think the resaw is something like 13, but it tracks really straight. I love it. This is my grandfather's old bandsaw, which does work and just looks really sweet. I love how these old tools always had separate electric motors, so it was so easy to swap in a motor. This is the sanding station, oscillating spindle sander, disc sander. This is the floor sanding drill press, which is useful if you got to drill through something that you need to move the table far down. Put a custom wood surface on there. This is the joiner. Craftsman, 6-inch I believe. Same situation with the motor completely separated and belt driven. Big fan of that. Of course I had to get on the hype train and buy a Sawstop. I like my fingers. Love that fence, so precise. And check out my outfeed table with the misaligned miter gauge slot. Here's my dust collector and the 15-inch planer. It's the only machine in the shop that needs to be hooked up to 220 volts. This thing is a beast. Clamp rack that my grandfather made. One of the recurring jokes is you can never have enough clamps in your shop, and I've added a bunch of clamps to that and I could still use more. You can never have enough clamps. Vintage pattern maker's vise. Probably another thing that deserves its own video. And I think that concludes the woodshop tour. I built a sign, put it down here in case anybody gets lost. Oh yeah, I got another workshop upstairs for electronics work. No sawdust allowed. I edited all my YouTube videos on this old Apple IIe from 1983. Fast, very fast.